Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she's not a widow when my dad died? My father just recently passed away, and it has been incredibly hard on me, which has caused me to be a bit numb and also not care about people's feelings quite as much, which leads to me wondering if I am the a-hole. My parents have been on again, off again for 30 plus years of marriage, but my mom finally left him when I was 15. She manipulated me into leaving with her, and being a young, naive girl, I believed her. After living with my mom for about 8 months, I couldn't take it anymore and moved back in with my dad, and things were great. She was still in and out of our lives every couple of years, but finally stayed mostly out of our lives around me being 21. I'm 27 now. I'm still in contact with her and visit her once or twice a year. She lives several hours away with her boyfriend, but it's a strained relationship. She also had me deliver the news to my father that she wanted to divorce him. After a lengthy process, the divorce did not go through due to missing paperwork. Before we could get all the papers together, my father got diagnosed with throat cancer in the beginning of 2023. Treatment seemed to work, and the doctors told us he didn't have cancer anymore. That wasn't the case. In April of 2024, he went into the hospital for pain management, where we find out his cancer was back, and he either had approximately 3 months left to live, or they could remove his entire tongue and voice box and put in a trachea tube. He decided to do the surgery. He was in the hospital for 4 months. During that time, my mom had visited 2 or 3 times because she was already coming to the area for other reasons, and had gotten annoyed one of the times my dad asked her to come say goodbye to him before she went home. Finally, he was able to go home, but went back to the VA hospital a few weeks later, where we found out he had an inoperable tumor wrapping around the artery that took blood flow to his brain. The doctor only gave him a few weeks to live. My mother had come down to say goodbye. During her visit, she had gotten annoyed with a man she was talking to, not her boyfriend, because he was upset about the anniversary of his wife and child's death. She said, "I understand he lost his wife and baby, but I can't handle this right now. I am literally watching my husband take his last breaths." Talking about my dad, this really struck a nerve, so I told her, "He is not your husband." She said the divorce never went through, so they are still married. I argued that it wasn't for a lack of trying, and that if the court had approved it, they would be divorced. 2 months after my father passed, she brought up that she misses her husband so much. Me, ex-husband. Her, the papers didn't go through. Me, that's a technicality. Her, I know. We were separated for a long time. It also made her very upset that she was not added to the survived by list at the memorial. She said she doesn't understand why her late husband's family treated her so poorly at the memorial, but that it's okay. They can be petty because in the end, they knew how much they meant to each other and that they still loved each other. After everything they had been through and watching my dad's drunken breakdowns of, "Why didn't she want me?" I didn't have the emotional capacity to listen to her call herself a widow, so I have snapped a few times. I understand that they have lived together for so long and raised kids together, and that while she wasn't in love with him anymore, she still had a place for him in her heart. So am I the a-hole for snapping when she calls him her husband or plays the widow card? Edit. My father loved my mother until the day he died. My mother did still care for my father, but she was also happily living with her boyfriend, whom she called her husband. Yes, technically they were still married, but before he got sick, she would refer to him by his name or say, "Your father." After we found out he was dying, she started saying, "My husband," and making it out like they were still in a relationship when he died. I know she's grieving, and that's why I feel bad that I tell her not to call him her husband around me, but she won't stop, and that's why I call her out.